And I did
Hello.
do Mid-Journey a little bit. Go ahead, John.
Hello, and welcome to the Virtual Film Company show here on Spatial IO. We do this show every 2 weeks where we talk about technologies such as AI, generative art, Oculus Quest, etc. So, please join us here. Also check out our YouTube channel at Virtual Film Company. We also have a Facebook page and a LinkedIn page, and we would really appreciate it if you could like, follow, comment, and join in. Today, we're going to be talking about two topics primarily, GPT and NFTs, or really what happened to NFTs. But we're going to start off with what we call the pumpkin challenge. And I'm going to let Chris talk about this in a second because he was the challenger. But we asked Mystery, who has never generated an image before, using AI to generate an image in Chat GPT, which just offered the ability for users to generate images using DALL-E 3. So Chris, let me hand it over to you and you can explain more about where this challenge came from.
Well, basically, it came from the idea that it's a nice thing for someone who never used generative AI to use it, and to put the challenge on those people to say, like, just write text and make great images. So that's what anyone can do. If you're watching this and you're interested in that, try it. Go to a Bing image creator. It's for free. You can go there, write a nice text about an image you want to see, and it will generate it for you. And yeah, so that was the challenge for Mr. E here, to do something with pumpkins. Why? Well, it was Halloween. Why shouldn't it be? So, what did you do?
So, as you can see, I was trying to go for a variety of pumpkins, and so I did get a Mid-Journey account when it first opened. So technically, I didn't even use the full lot of the free images Mid-Journey did give you, but so I've got very, very limited experience with them. I decided to leave that to the pros. But when I did see GPT chat came out and had a feature that, okay, DALL-E, which you guys have been talking about, and honestly, I felt like, okay, this is still too over my head to do this. But now to go in, and for all those AI lovers out there that love, like, using technology, now instead of having GPT chat help you write something, you can have it help you design something. And
Right.
so if you start looking at these, like my prompts, I just kind of would say, hey, I wanted a picture of a family carving pumpkins. And bam, you see the photo in the middle, and it's, it gives you two options for each set of prompts, which I know some
Wait
other
a second,
ones.
sir. Is the family the squirrel down there? Is that a squirrel family, but it's just one member? Or are we talking about the one in the middle up there with some people?
That would be, if you had to guess, like, which image I was talking about. I think most people would have guessed the image in the middle. Yes, not the, and actually when transitioning over to the squirrel photo, I actually I wanted an animal eating one of the pumpkins outside, and there you go. They decided to make a squirrel the culprit eating the pumpkins. And then I wanted a friendly pumpkin, as you can see in the top left. You have that one.
Right. And it was part of the challenge, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to put different prompts for I gathered a total of 10 images. We've got 6 here. don't think that I didn't do the full homework assignment. Whoever was assisting me just decided to not put the other images out there. And in the spirit of Halloween, I put a ghost outside with some pumpkins, and there you go. There's your ghost.
That's
Yeah.
my
Then go ahead.
Looks like Casper.
Yeah, it does. It's rather cute.
Yeah, they had another ghost that, and again, these were my choice out of the two that were picked, and I actually picked. I wanted a photo that would make people laugh. Like, I specifically put that in there. I wanted a pumpkin that if anybody who would see it, it would make them laugh. And that image didn't make the cut. I don't think my assistant wanted that to go up there. I guess no laughing today. Instead, we have the two up there that are left. I asked for a scary pumpkin, and you can obviously see the top right is the scary pumpkin. And then after the scary pumpkin, I was like, okay, well, that was scary. Let's see a terrifying pumpkin. And there you go.
Okay.
That
So that's
is
the fine
one
line
in the middle. Yeah.
between scariness and terrifying. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, how scary can they get? So, I mean, and it's like, if that pumpkin was coming at you, I mean, yeah, it's just very,
Well,
it's
depends
very,
on the rest of the body.
I mean, that's actually true. They're not giving you the rest of it, but if that was on like the Headless Horseman and he puts that on, I mean, you don't want
Ooh.
either one of those coming after you, for the most part.
That's right.
This is, but doing this work and seeing things go into existence, because this came out so good that I then, put it in there for, some celebrating stars, and got something on the Walk of Fame, and some movement of beat with some music. And I even did something with an intention pen and some movie critic stuff. And I was really impressed with having the ability to bring these things into existence. And we're in an interesting time, because for artists who are good at stuff, I feel like if you're not I get it how you want to do your own stuff, but if you're not using this stuff with the skills that you already have, that I don't know. I don't know how you can survive, like, when you're up against, like, me putting in a few things and getting this thing, instead of having to order something from somebody and go back and forth of what you want this thing to be. And these are, for instance, these images, this would take a lot of time, to make. So we're in an interesting time.
Sure.
We are in a very interesting
definitely.
time.
So this was all done with one creation tool, or did you use different ones? You used one.
Nope, I use the GPT chat, the Dolly. So you have to just have a premium account.
Okay.
GPT chat 4, and then you just kind of put in your prompts, and then it thinks for a minute, and then it's going to get you. It's going to get you an image.
Your image. Okay. So you did that with
Yeah.
ChatGPT. Okay. Just to say to other people, that is the image creator from OpenAI called DALL-E 3 at the moment. As I said already, you can also access this with the Bing image creator. Search for it, and there you have the same image creating tool for free. But if you anyways have ChatGPT and you use it for your work, whatever, also ChatGPT is able to do that for you, right? So
but there is a caveat there, Chris. There is a caveat there. So, I was curious enough to sign up to OpenAI again today. I've been cutting down on my subscriptions over the last couple of months. And, one of the challenges I've had to myself is to see if I could use DALL-E 3 through Bing and Firefly and some of the other tools out there that I mean, Firefly, it's free, but I Adobe products, and so not. But the thing that I found today is that the images that one generates through the paid version of GPT chat are of a higher resolution than the images that are
Oh,
produced by Bing. They're
seriously?
yeah, because I ran the same prompts through the in GPT, and then I ran the same prompt in Bing. And one of the things that I noticed is that there's a parameter called stylize, which if you alter
Okay.
that parameter too high or too low, it can alter the image quality, but it also tends to add text to the image. And so if it's set to a lower quality, you'll see images with a lot of text. And that's what happened with Bing was with GPT or OpenAI's product, because we can't really call it GPT anymore. I mean, but let me finish off with what I'm saying here. Definitely a better quality through the paid service. And so the reason I say we can't call it GPT anymore is that the reason I really signed up for this was that OpenAI held its developers conference, well, the first developers conference ever. So it was very much in the news. Lots of exciting stuff came out of it. But they also talked about giving people the ability to create what they're calling GPTs, which are customized versions of Chat GPT for a specific purpose. And so, that really intrigued me, and I signed up for it. And was met with a message that
Hmm.
says coming soon, will be available in the coming weeks. So I thought, well, okay, that's interesting. I just wasted $20, or did I? And so, I all of these image generation engines really have a similar way specific to them of doing things. So when you get to know them, you can adjust the outputs accordingly. But Dolly tends to be more on the conservative side in terms of trying to come up with stock images. So they're, as far as their art quality goes, they're could be considered a little boring. So what I did, which was really interesting, was I took an image from Midjourney, a more artistic image that Midjourney can create, and fed it into Dolly 3 and
Right.
said, create an image in the style of this image. And man, it did an amazing job. And then I tried a few other things, which, we go into, but I just thought I'd mention that.
So
Back
did
to
you
you.
think my images were not very good, John? Is that what you're saying?
No, the images are, so if you compare the free version which comes with Bing,
Right.
right? And, as I've said before, how long it's going to be free, I don't know, because, I received one notification from Microsoft asking me if I wanted to sign up for its enhanced,
Uh,
Word Plus plan or
yeah.
whatever, but I've never
Mm.
received another one from them. But I imagine that's going to be down the road. But it makes sense to give people access to Bing and Dolly 3 through Bing, specifically if the images are of a lower quality. So
Right.
it gives people, the ability to create these images, but only to a certain extent, because, well, they
Always
can be up.
the give and take. It's definitely the give and take. So my question to you, like, didn't you also say something that I thought was very interesting that you found is they will represent you legally with these images that you're creating? Is that correct?
Yeah, so that was one of the things that they said at the conference. Altman company was that they will defend anyone against any copyright claims that arise. And so, I mean, that brings up an interesting question in terms of what I just did. I took an image from Midjourney and fed it into Dolly 3 and
Right.
that it's
Yeah.
derivative work, or where is that? And one of the other things is that I don't, and I will have to go back and check this, but it was a question I asked myself, and I thought that I was going to check this, was whether that applied to text only or also images. Presuming it's a blanket thing, but
Sure. I mean, the legal part will probably be very, very, very complex in the future. As you said, you
Oh,
take an
yeah.
image from a journey, from a different program or system, model, whatever, or you might take an image from a very well-known photographer and use that one and change it, or the picture of a person, or what the heck. So many possibilities there. And it's always the big question. So who owns the right on this? Is there something special on this? Yeah, I guess we will see a lot of that in the future. So it just started. But let's say, I mean, it is now usable for anyone. If you have any idea, I mean, Eric, you are not the person that is working in computer science. You are not working with prompt engineering or whatever. And when I did, for example, images with Stable Diffusion, different model that's open source, you need to write very special prompts. You have to give certain keywords and stuff. And in your case, you just wrote what you wanted to see, right?
Yeah, correct. So, for instance, that happy pumpkin with the smile, I
Yeah.
asked, here are images of a friendly, I asked, after the terrifying, I said, great, how about a friendly pumpkin? And that's
Oh,
what it gave me for just a friendly pumpkin, and with the happy Halloween sign, and yeah.
okay.
And
So it was inside of a discussion, let's say, of a communication. So you generated image
correct. It's,
out of a communication.
yep. Yeah, like I treat it as, like, when I talk to ChatGPT, I compliment it, I thank it. I feel like if I had a personal assistant, I'm somebody who shares almost gratitude as they're doing these things for me, not and it's amazing. It appreciates, you appreciating it, and I feel like you're building a repertoire for, with having the relationship that you're building with the GPT chat. That's kind of how I treat it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good attempt. Yeah, definitely. Right.
Yes.
Should we go on to the next topic? We have 20 minutes almost somehow with the pumpkins now, or anyone wants to add something important to the pumpkins?
well, not to the pumpkin itself, but to the fact that I now have GPT again, at least for the next 30 days, depending on what happens. I'd love to have had that great GPT feature. But, OpenAI seems to be moving away perhaps from plugins, in that they're warning people that, plugins, if them use the risk and all of that. But they've come out with a number of other additions to the chat GPT, I guess, line of products, if you will. And so now when you go to GPT, you see a number of choices. DALL-E is one, obviously, we're
Right.
about, but they also have a data analysis where you can basically click on that and drop in any file. And I tried that this morning. I dropped in a PDF a 30-page PDF and asked
Right.
it to summarize the PDF for me, and it actually did a really great job of summarizing. And it's got
Yeah.
other of these GPTs like the Negotiator, Creative Writing Coach, Cosmic Dream. That was an interesting one, which is also a graphic image generator, Visionary Painter of Digital Wonder. So that was fun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Coloring Book Hero. Take any idea and turn it into a whimsical coloring book.
Wow.
But,
Wow.
the one I did have fun with was the sous chef, right? I'll give you recipes based on foods you love and ingredients you have. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
well, the awesome part was, I typed in here, come up with a keto dish based on eggplant, ground beef, and cheese. And it came up with sort of, something like moussaka, but it then said to me, do you want to see an image of your recipe? And it created this image of the recipe, which I thought was like, okay, that's pretty amazing.
Goodness. So did you cook it afterwards, or do you feel like with those, did you actually have those ingredients, or what is the outcome?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much, moussaka, which is a Greek dish without the, what's the sauce called? It's made out of
Fair enough. Are you going to make
egg
it though?
and
That's my question.
yeah,
Are
yeah.
you going to
No,
make it?
well, I'm going to make a variation of it. That's my
Okay.
standard meals. I thought I would come up with, or see
That's
what
great.
it came up with.
And like as you were saying all of that stuff that this thing is able to do, like when we have these conversations, it's just if somebody could access the future like even 5 years ago with what we have at our fingertips right now, like this is so like I want to say mind blowing. Like as I sit here and every time I'm seeing these things come out, like these pictures, the chat GPT with writing, like everybody has access to an amazing personal assistant, that would cost, easily $100,000 a year, several $100,000 a year. You have the capability for $20 a month to have these professionals assisting you with tasks that, you normally could not do or would take a bunch of research. So just amazing.
Definitely. So I think that definitely in the end leads us to the next topic, doesn't it? Big news from OpenAI. We already started to talk about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
We did.
So I
But,
just have to.
yeah, I mean, it's been the buzz over the last couple of days where, as I said,
Definitely, yeah.
this was the first OpenAI Dev Days conference, and Steve Altman basically said, what we launched today is going to look very quaint relative to what we're busy creating for you right now. So, by this time next year, we expect to be blown away even more by stuff that is.
Wow, what can be done, as fast as everything is moving, like a statement like that is like, wow.
It is for sure amazing. I mean, we now probably have to tell our audience a little bit about what's in this deal. If you haven't heard about that yet, OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, released a new model. So basically, new possibilities, new technology behind it in a certain way. And this one is not just called ChatGPT4, it's ChatGPT4 Turbo. And that means it can do more than the one before. And GPT-4 Turbo now allows, for example, much more data to be given in by the user. So you could give GPT-4 Turbo a 300-page book and ask then ChatGPT about that. What is the content, make a summary, whatever kind of stuff. So that amount of data can be given in, and ChatGPT-4 Turbo can elaborate on it. That is one thing, for example. They said that the knowledge of this model, it's always trained on data. So when you ask ChatGPT about things that happened last week, won't know that, will not know that. It has to Google, it has to find that online. But it wasn't trained on that data. And ChatGPT-4 Turbo was trained up to data from April 2023. So that's what they said as well. And there is a DALL-E 3, the image creation software, and ChatGPT-4 Turbo API mode, where you can, if you're a programmer, you can start and program your own little tools that are using ChatGPT-4 Turbo and DALL-E 3. And there's a so-called JSON mode. For people that don't know that, JSON, JavaScript Object Notation, that is a type how you can send text, basically, formatted to a server. Those JSON files and text formattings are used in many different applications. You use that also when you communicate with Twitter, for example, and so on, or X today. So there's this JSON mode now also implemented to makes it easier to make big, quite data structures you can send in, for example.
Wow. So before you go farther, Chris, so you mentioned April 2023 what this turbo model is trained up to. So the thing that first triggered with me was that now we're starting to see the data coming in off of all of the training, because it's been, I don't know what time GPT chat launched, but now we're starting to see some of the data that's now calculated in the turbo that's been trained after, this is an app that grew the fastest out of any app up until this date that's grown like 100 million users. So there has been a lot of training. So now we're starting to see this stuff come on board with where we're going, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it brings really a lot of new stuff to the table in this case. And I think the most interesting thing I didn't mention yet, basically, when we just talked about programming, there are more functions that can be called at once now. So a lot more things at the same time can be used with this model. But one of the most interesting things probably is that now there is a text-to-speech function with 6 different voices. So you can use that in a connection with a function, let's say, that is creating your own chat box, like an assistant chat bot that you could use for your website or for your company or whatever, right? And this can then answer in 6 different voices. You can choose 1 or 2, I don't know. So this will be the next step for anyone who has the access to OpenAI's ChatGPT-4 Turbo, for example, to create easily your own chatbot, a virtual assistant, a token assistant that can answer phone calls, whatever. And you could do that before as well, but you needed quite sophisticated software that was using a model like a GPT-4 or whatever, or ChatGPT, and then program a lot of stuff yourself. And now it looks like, didn't see it yet, but they announced it, that this functionality can be used by anyone quite easily by just using ChatGPT-4 Turbo.
Wow, this is Powerful. Well, I can't wait to see. I mean, once we can get one online, I'm guessing the virtual film company is going to have an assistant here at some point soon.
One
You
of
think
the
so?
I tried to do today was that, one of the exciting things to me was that they extended the context length to 128K. And so, and this failed, by the way. I'll have to try it again later, but I
Uh-huh.
put in a 30-page document
Oh,
into
30
and
page. Okay.
a 30-page text document and said, reword this or improve on it. And it got about
Uh-huh.
halfway and then just gave up. It was like, no, can't do this.
Ouch.
But I've also
But
heard,
that's
I've heard that this is so popular now that,
yeah.
people getting the same message that we got when this all first started, the servers are busy, too many people trying to do this, try again later stuff. And yeah, I mean,
Right.
the number you mentioned, Eric, the 100 million, I believe that's weekly. That's just,
Really? It is?
I believe so. I mean, we'd have to double check.
Right.
Wow.
No, I mean, geez. But there are still people that are, up in arms about AI, particularly.
No, I know those people have got tired of complaining about it.
No, that seems to never be getting old. So I guess
Well,
they had
there's
21.1 million users all in all.
21.1
Least in the method
registered users.
doesn't say registered.
Okay.
There's users, and that could mean anything. It could mean, like people like me who stopped paying for the premium service but still had access to OpenAI to use GPT-5. So,
Right.
am I a user if I don't pay, or that's the big question
I
for
would think
some
so. You
people.
are. I mean, I've got a free account with still, I think I've got ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo or something. And it's okay for me for that usage. So I'm probably a user. I mean, I've got to log in there. So why shouldn't I also have an API key? Why not paying the $20?
Yeah, well,
I
I mean, I think
right
as you said earlier, the goal here is to make this accessible to everyone that can't do API calls or write an interface between this program and that program using an API. So we back to these GPT that they're coming up with, and I've been playing with another one here called Hot Mods, the background, which enables
Oh,
one to add a photograph and basically tell it how to modify the photograph. But then
okay.
there's one called Mocktail Mixologist, and I told it to make a cocktail using gasoline and sulfuric acid
Oh,
and
come
the other
on, man.
things.
Come on, John. Come on. Okay.
But it was
So,
smart enough to know,
yeah.
no, those are not good.
Well,
Think
that's
about
good. That's good that
fruits
it
and
was not.
juices and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Not a
you
good
know what?
cocktail. Wow.
Yeah, John's just testing it to see what it knows. So I pulled a few GPT chat stats as well. I see that there's 180.5 million users generating 80 million a month in revenue, and it crossed over 10 billion all-time visits.
That's quite some visits. If someone is watching our
Yeah.
YouTube channel here, we could use also 10.5 billion visits on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I mean that we would be a household show at that point for sure. That's a lot
100%.
of visits. I mean,
Well, it
what's the
just shows
population
how
of the world? Go ahead, John.
no, I don't. I mean, 8.1 billion people, I guess, is a quick lookup shows. But
Yeah. Well, there's some people that are visiting it every day. There's some people that have just went to it, but those are some, obviously the biggest number that I see on that is, it's right now making $80 million a month in revenue, which times that by 12, you've gotten a lot of money that they're making, man. They got almost $1 billion in
It costs
and
also a lot of money to generate that stuff.
no, well, 100%, but it's not like for some of these people in development, they have money coming in as well as their development people, so they can keep investing. Which I don't know. They got money.
well, the other thing to look at in terms of users is that this number probably pales in comparison, added up all of the people that use products that connect to OpenAI, the API. I mean, that vastly bigger number.
That is always the point when it comes to the API, and that's why I think that the API announcement that DALI 3 and GPT-4 Vision, that's what I didn't say, GPT-4 Vision and GPT-4 Turbo are now in API mode, that you can create your own app for iOS or Android or whatever using those models in the background, and let people make a photo and send it then to DALI to make something else out of it, or GPT-4 Vision to analyze it and send you back a description or whatever. So, and here you will find a lot of new users that probably won't know that they are users of ChatGPT because they just have the app, right? And that's
No,
the way
exactly.
how you grow.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No, that's the way how programs grow in the end, right? Also with
Yeah,
Twitter at that time, right? Many people didn't know that they're using Twitter in between. They just sent it some text or whatever, and then it was on Twitter. So yeah, it will bring those functionalities in more hands.
Yeah. Well, 100%. So I was just digging in a little deeper. So it looks like ChatGPT just launched November 30th of 2022. So we're not even 1 year since this app launched. It crossed the 100 million users in 2 months. So we're now at OpenAI. That's what I'm talking about, how fast things are moving. Because right now, we're not even at the 1 year marker. And look how fast it's ramped up.
well, that's the exciting part of this developers conference, that it's the first developers conference ever. And
yeah, that's right.
And it shows, I mean, not too long ago, probably 4 or 5 months ago, there were rumors about OpenAI having to file for bankruptcy because they couldn't cover the costs.
Yeah.
That seems to have changed rather rapidly.
Well, I guess, I mean, that's always the point. You have something new technology, new computer stuff, software, whatever. People are jumping on it, testing it. And then a lot of people will say, yeah, okay, well, what should I use it for? But I think here we can see that this is a new thing. This is something new that people can integrate into their lives, and where they will find this very special functionality that is really usable for them. And that's a big difference to billions of other apps where you think like, oh, it's like this one app with 2 functions more. Why should I get that? Right? This was a game changer somehow.
Well, the creation of these GPTs is, I think, going to be another game changer, because a number of people, I keep running into people that are talking about, oh, I'm going to develop this, I'm going to create that, and So people are already thinking about what they're going to be building with this stuff. So
100%. Well, this is exciting times. So since we got 15 minutes left, I think that this is a time to now transfer into our final topic here, which is obviously we're seeing how GPT chat hit another level, but what happened to the NFTs that were hot and it was just the big, huge thing going on. And now, people were thinking they were going to get rich on these investments, which I think that's part of where it got a little tricky for some people. But what's going on with NFTs?
well, I think the question is more, what's going on with the crypto market in general, and that has affected NFTs. Market took a plunge, but that's the nature of the market. But NFTs have really taken a big hit because I think as well as and maybe it's because of this, people have lost money on crypto. They've seen Bankman-Fried, for example, go down recently with the X platform. They've seen a number of rug pulls that have happened over the last year or two and continue to happen. People sucked into the scheme. And that's really, what it involves to sell an NFT, actually sell it, to create a community around it and to get people to buy into the vision of the NFT, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which has also lost, like 75 to 90% of value. But OpenSea a couple of days ago laid off, I think, half their staff. But we're still seeing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Totally. As you're talking about these art pieces and whatnot, John, I feel like where they've missed the mark to where it's like you're buying this digital thing that's like, yeah, I own this thing. But for like the Bored Ape, like let's say besides you owning the digital one, they actually printed off, like let's say there's a dozen of them and the person that made it signed it, and you actually would physically have the painting like hanging on your wall. There's 12 of them, and then fine, there's the prints that you own the original master print or something like that. But I feel like that's part of where it could have been better, especially with these expensive things. Like, why didn't it become a tangible thing and it's only something that exists in the metaverse? I just feel like people weren't ready for that. And I don't know if they're still ready for that.
Well, one of the other problems is that SEC has been coming down on things. So there's been an uncertainness that's existed in the market over the last, couple of years as to whether the SEC is going to pull the rug on this, because NFTs, recently, like last month, the SEC charged the creators of Stoner Cats for selling NFTs. And Jane Fonda was among some of the famous people involved in that scheme because of the fact that, if you have you can go into a store and buy a sports trading card, right? But there's nothing that says anywhere that, or implies even that trading card is going to go up in value. And with NFTs, there's
they were just upset that the cats were stoned. I thought that would be the problem.
No. Selling them as and the penalty that they paid, I believe, was, over $1 million.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, we, going back to your point about tangible versus, the beginning, people just pumped out NFTs. They really didn't care about the art value to NFT. So there's, a number of
because
junk.
Yeah, exactly. Because you thought that you can make junk to gold, basically. People would buy something, and I think most people don't have the real, let's say, idea or vision what an NFT in the end is. like, oh, I'm the owner of a piece of art. Well, yeah, somehow you are. Basically, you are just owning a register. Like there is some digital, values are stored on several servers, right, on the blockchain, and they say that this image, those pixels, right, or this arrangement of pixels, basically, is yours. But anyone can have this bored ape image or whatever, print it and hang it at home for fun, right? And basically, you could also, I guess, sell the real copy print, right, as a copy print. But you don't
Yeah.
have, the right of the image is just written down in the blockchain that it's yours. That's all what you bought for hundreds of thousands of
That's one
dollars.
of, and that's one of the reasons that the SEC actually came down on companies, is that court, I believe, found that one of the differences between, again, going back to these playing cards, these collectibles, is that if you have a playing card in your hands, it's real, right? And to your point about the blockchain, if going back to the Stoner Cats web series, it's if the company that is maintaining all of this goes out of business, you've also just lost, your NFTs. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, we know
So-
that like with the land and the Decentraland and all of that stuff, people were buying
Exactly.
up all this real estate, and you see what's
Exactly.
happened with that.
That's what I wanted to ask Eric at the same time now. I made this little image like Decentraland is somehow vanishing. So really the big question is, did you guys ever went again into Decentraland? Have you been interested to buy something there, a real estate, to do what there? And was anyone else coming to you to ask you, hey guys, do you have property on Decentraland? Can you rent it to me or whatever?
no, because Eric and I almost bought some property in Detroit, but my argument is that there's no ownership rights to, you can't say that you own Detroit. You just can't. I mean, you can sell a representation of it, but another company can come out and sell another representation of it, and so you just
You
have
know,
the
the thing that reminds me of is these people that are selling real estate of the moon. Like you own or a star in the sky. You own one of these stars. Like you're like, oh, I
Right.
got this certificate that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a planet in somewhere in a different galaxy that was just found. Like, yeah, it's yours. You travel there, right?
Yes. I'm gonna leave this place. I've got property on the moon.
But going back to the NFT discussion, so while OpenSea is in things fall off and the whole market is falling off, there are other markets that have opened up. There's Blur, for example. There's Objectic, for example, and there are communities that have been created around these platforms where people are now kind of buying, selling, trading. There's other platforms that encourage people to do this, and so it's
Awesome.
changed.
So is that more a
Well-
community thing now?
Yeah,
And before
yeah.
it was a business for some people. They wanted to make money on that. Like, hey, buy this stuff. It's unique. You can have it. Great. Is it more now like I'm creating something and you can have it for a good amount of money that is fair, and then it's yours?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, maybe $5 or sometimes free,
John has a treasure trove of images. If you're talking about worth $5 an image, John has quite an array if he really wanted to cash those in.
Yeah.
He for sure also has some for $100 and more. I mean, always depends on how much, it's art. You can sell anything if someone is willing to pay for it and say, "Oh, this is so unique. I love that so much. I will give you $500 for that." Why
It's
not?
true.
Exactly.
It's true. I mean, it's true. And but I do feel like artists being able to have a gallery in the metaverse and selling their prints. I mean, I'm seeing there's some amazing artists that are creating like animated art based on a picture, and you'll hold the screen up to it and the picture comes to life. Like art is evolving as well, and I just feel like it's finding its footing. Like for me, I think
Right.
it's like I love gifting. I've got images that were created and I gifted over 400 of them at Burning Man this year, and
Okay.
they exist in a gallery. People can go see their art that they have an actual print, and you know this gallery would be a multi-million-dollar gallery in the real world that very few artists actually are able to have. So there's a lot of empowerment with art in general as well, to where we need more art. So I need the artists to get on board with, there just needs to be a way that everyone can make money off of this stuff and be able to be creative and their art being supported. And we need to find a balance with it, because I do see this as it is the future. We just need to figure out how the blockchain incorporates, and you start talking about art that incorporates the actors in, how are our actors likeness going to get licensed and copywritten, and then that brings up the whole YouTube, to where like people are sharing their content all day long online and no one's getting paid for that stuff. So there's definitely some bugs to get worked out within the future of where it's going.
For sure. I mean, that is a development in there. I really think so too. In the end, it's just this thin line always between what is the real value of those things for the people, and where does the ripoff starts, right? Because people get afraid of those topics and say, "Oh no, this is all a ripoff. Why should I get NFTs?" And maybe there's some good stuff in there. And as you said, right, gifting and special communities like, I guess, Burning Man and others. It's like that might be a new cell, let's say, where something is evolving in, right?
Yeah, but the problem with that, Chris, is that the whole business model about crypto, successfully launch a token, one needed to build a community, and I think that's where some of the pain comes from, is that people were part of these communities and then just had the rug pulled out from them, and so it's still this mistrust.
Well, 100%.
That's the point. Yeah.
Well, the problem would be is these people with a lot of money, these whales, come in and raise the price all the way up, and then other people put all of their money in, and then the person with all the person that just came in as literally an investor to create the wave to go up, takes all of his money out and takes it to the next thing and took other people's money with it. And then they're all like, wait, I thought this was the
but
next.
That's not what we're really talking about. We're talking about, communities of small people that put, little bits of money in, and the organizers of the token, once it reaches a couple of $1 million, all of a sudden there's no website, there's no Twitter, there's anything, everything is closed and the money's gone. It's not manipulation of the market, it's pure theft.
Sounds like they need some genuine vibes in their life.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy. It is so easy in many cases to rip off people today, right? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yes, there's always a new one. Always a new one.
Yes.
Something. I mean, this has to do with AI. So closing or
well, hopefully the AI becomes smart enough and the shady people out there get blocked and banned, and really they get their just due, and the people who have done ethically, and these artists deserve to be rewarded. So 100%. Go ahead, John.
So, I think as we have discussed before, that, there's a very thin line between machine learning and AI. I mean, AI is a expression of machine learning. It's all done by machines still. And so one of the things that large companies adopted some time ago was scanning resumes from applicants for certain keywords and things like that. And I hadn't heard of this hack before, but I heard about it today because it's actually being used to hack email and things like that. And that's the zero font attack, where people put something in your resume, like you could put something in your, hire me, exceptionally qualified candidate, whatever, and then in your word processing program, make the text font 0. So nobody but a machine can see that. And people are now doing that in emails, where they're inserting the 0 character, 0 font size, so there's always some, something nefarious going on. So that was my lesson of the day that I became aware of. So it was
shame on these scamming people, man. Shame. There's a special place for some of these people, that's for sure.
Yeah, in this world, the place is on a whatever kind of yacht with millions of dollars, unfortunately.
No, I don't think they're all there. I think that there's some other
Not all of them, but too many
people. Yeah. Well, anyways, that's all. Yeah, go ahead, John.
No, as we've seen with, Bankman-Fried and the whole FBX crew, they're planning probably spend the next, 20 years in prison, or at least that's what they say that he might be sentenced to when that happens next.
Well, for the artists, we need everyone. There just needs I feel like that's what people are waiting for. This Chat GPT, an amazing program, but now it'd be great if they had like an artist development program to where like there's artists developing images, that's our next level with some of this open AI that's being created. How about forming some groups like us here with the virtual film company, knowing that, hey, we need to educate the future, inspire people, and what's stopping some of these groups from coming together and being built that are going to help make a difference in the world? So there we go.
Good. Well,
yes.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I would agree 100%. We need more action. People need to take action and say, we have to go against that. We have to talk together and be aware. Yeah.
And create together.
And create together, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the business model of Midjourney, Night Cafe, amongst others. Is that that's why Midjourney is so anal about their stealth mode, where they don't want anyone in stealth mode, because they want everyone to create together, and they want people to spend hours and hours and hours developing concepts, and then have someone being able to just take that concept and not spend hours and hours on it and generate something cool, which
yeah, that's right.
With. All for a community, but I'm not for forced sharing, which is going on there.
Absolutely correct. Everyone should have his or her say about their own work. No doubt about that.
Well, I think that's our show for today, right? Any closing comments or thoughts?
Well, I would say, guys, get out there, test all that stuff, try to find the best way to utilize it, and don't be afraid. It's there. I don't think it will go away, even if it's NFTs or whatever. Just try around with that and keep your critical thinking.
Good advice.
I
Good
think that's
advice.
great. I think so. For me, wow, this future that we're in, it just blows my mind. And I love that we are talking about the future, informing people, educating people of what's going on, and voicing our opinions and putting things out there. And there's a lot of opportunity. So keep it going.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for watching. This is the Virtual Film Company. We're here in spatial.io every 2 weeks to talk about topics similar to this, to do technology, film, AI. We're also on Facebook and YouTube. So check us out on YouTube at Virtual Film Company. And don't forget to like, follow, generally show us some love, please. Need more
Definitely.
support. If you're interested in helping out or becoming part of the show, let us know too. We'd love to have you on as either a participant or a stagehand. We're always looking for people. Thank you. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks for
Thank
watching. See you next time. Bye-bye. See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.